Joanna, go for it.
I have an interesting, hopefully interesting topic, but at least will be controversial in a good way. Also prepare the tea to be properly acquainted with the royalty in London. The accent is a bit fake, it probably won't last long, but um, because I will last long because I'm from Transylvania, originally currently in Cluj-Napoca, but slightly moving to Berlin. I have more than 12 years in the industry, being these days engineer manager at Cost Sandbox, and I volunteer for a lot of time. First disclaimer, these are not official things. Of course, this whole presentation is based on The Crown, the Netflix show, which is a dramatized cast video show, whatever, is not based on real facts, is influenced. Take it with a grain of salt, of course. And why would I do something about, the Queen when, again, probably I should do about vampires from Transylvania? Is because last year or the year before in the lockdown, I started watching The Crown. And my trigger was this part. And when I saw this scene, I was literally, like doing movies. I was on my sofa, I was yelling at the TV, I was like, talk to him, ask him why you believe a note, why don't you ask for, and I realized this is a problem of communication, exactly what I have in my team sometimes. If we don't ask the whole context, we will never know. In this case, the Queen was thinking that the prince was cheating on her with another lady, and she was very upset, but she never asked him anything, and she just left a note when he left England that, hey, remember you have a family. Everything could have been fixed if she communicated directly, hey, are you cheating on me? No, dear. Oh, that's fine. Let's move on. Something like that happened in products too. When we think that we have the context, but we don't, and we start implementing something that's at the end very different from what it was envisioned. Okay, let's go back to the original order. Most of the time as a product, you inherit the idea. Like the Queen inherited this. It wasn't something that she chose when she was born. It was given to her. So exactly when you change job and you get a new product, you inherit it. The idea might come from the founders or is discussed, but it's not entirely your idea only, and you get to decide what you want to build. You have to listen to your stakeholders and also implement the thing. But nevertheless, you have to do a commitment there. Now and then when you said, oh, this is my new role, I'm committed to it, you just have to embrace it and take the decision making on that side. Exactly like the Queen, as you see, when she had the ceremony, she did declare that. Unfortunately, in terms of Charles, hope he's not listening to this talk, he still has to wait. And for him, this wait literally made him say that until his mother dies, he's not able to live the life that was partially given to him. So the commitment is a really, really good part, and waiting for it will be a real struggle. The third thing that I learned from the Queen was that she was uneducated. Of course, she was to private school, but she realized that what she was thought was not necessarily what the people needed. She needed to understand laws. She also needed to understand history of other countries when she met with the leaders, and she get herself some tutors. Everyone was kind of laughing behind her, saying that she's the Queen, she doesn't need it, she has people, but she really felt that, hey, I need to step up my game in order to be equal at the table with the others. 4, delegate. You cannot do all, and you have to trust your team. She had really 2 really close advisors for her. They would take all the stuff that was not necessarily intended for her, or sometimes even more, like they would create the story for her to understand. She did not overstep them many times. She did trust them. So build your team with trust, and when they come with suggestions, do accept them. I said this with communication was my trigger personally. And the 6th lesson learned from the Queen was to have a process. Nothing could have come to her directly if it was not first vetted by these 2 people that I mentioned, where they were their advisor. There is a royal etiquette in order to get how you salute, how you react. And she literally declared at some point that this process, even if it's extremely hard sometimes, is what keeps them alive. The same would be in the team too. When if you initiate the process, keep on it. It will create I would say that it would create more easiness in people to follow, to work on it, to report back, to give you statistics. If there is a process there in place, things should be a bit more smoothly. Innovate. Yes, royally, I would say royalty of 70 something year. Please help me with terms. I'm not that a fan, I'm not that familiar, so I might miss these details, but a long reign can still innovate. And if we talk in case of the Queen having a dance with the president of an African country, which was never ever seen before, and nowadays in product will be to try to innovate in terms of helping people with the needs, solve problems that they have, or create better solutions for something that is already out there. Don't stop trying to innovate. Don't just polish things. Try to see what users need in terms for you to help them have a easier life, better work, anything that will help them indeed. She brought also the first broadcast live, and she started the Christmas videos that she still sends out there. And she was the first royal person in terms of the highest royal, the queen or the king in a disaster place. She literally said that I'm not a queen only to ceremonies, I'm also a queen in bad times, meaning that when people are hurt, I need to be there with my people. 8. This was a really intriguing part in the TV show when Margaret Thatcher stepped in the role. And the Queen was really committing to not change her way of interacting with people. Margaret says a lot of time that, oh, she's a woman, she has to be tough, and criticizes other women not being the same as, not as tough as her. And I love the answer from the Queen that, don't worry, many people cried in his office and they weren't women only. Meaning that before the prime minister were all men, and including Churchill was crying there for her, which brought equality and also the diversity that we talked about earlier. She did stop to talk with paparazzis and other people that were trying to get to her, giving them a chance to talk. I did learn from the show that a burglar entered the Buckingham Palace, not necessarily for stealing, but to chat with the Queen, and he sit on her bed chatting in the midnight. And almost the last, but 9, was amazing to see the Queen taking, in Scotland, we had someone from Scotland, visit to countryside, still driving the car, shooting even, that was a bit too much for me, I admit. She took care of the horses. So she did indeed know how to disconnect from work, how to enjoy the other life. I found myself in this position many times, having an issue by coding or anything I didn't have a solution to. I took a break and literally new ideas popped into. So be sure to also take a break from time to time. And the last one, keep calm. No one, I think, would expect when she was nominated was, I don't know how it's called the Queen, got the ceremony, I mean, but she lasted 14 prime ministers, 7 popes, and 12 out of 13 American presidents. I'm not sure if they met first with Biden. I think I have to also update this slide. But she also, passed wars and terrorist attacks and everything in between. No matter what, she keep on doing. She, as I mentioned, educated herself to be currently, with the times and enjoyed. She accepted even to make comedy with James Bond and keeps tradition alive in the same time. I felt that even if it's disputable, if the royal thing, everything related to the queens and kings are a product in the end or not, some lessons were learned while watching this 4-season show, and I literally put me thinking that we can learn even while enjoying Netflix. Thanks so much. You can find me on Twitter there. And this was my screen, by the way. I don't have a TV, so I project all the time. And it was a really nice way to enjoy the movie.
Thank you. I have to say I watched The Crown as well, and I learned a lot from the movie rather than actually reading history, because I'm really bad at doing that.
exactly like you said, I found a lot of things. I'm like, was really? And I was like 5 minutes later on Wikipedia reading about it to be sure. Many people told me afterwards that they consider the opposite, a really bad product owner. And I said, like, that's life. Sometimes, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. That's why we have retrospectives and we get feedback to improve ourselves. Not sure if the Queen does retrospective, but we could suggest to her.
Yeah, she could be a little bit more agile every now and then.
Yeah, exactly. Something like just bits of it.